Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan and today I'm coming to you from the New Zealand Mountain Film Festival where Guido and myself are raising some awareness for Fly the Roof. If you don't know what Fly the Roof is, check out a couple other vlogs that I'll have linked below. But basically we're headed to Kilimanjaro in September to fly from the roof of Africa, paraglide from the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, and in the process raise a bunch of money for local projects in Tanzania. But as you saw in the title, and the reason why you're here is to talk about this brand new lens from Panasonic that will be dropping very shortly. This is the Panasonic 10-25 f1.7, a very talked about lens lately. Everyone's really excited for it. It seems that this lens is Panasonic's direct answer to the Sigma 18-35 that so many Micro Four Thirds users are using. So what I have in my hands right now is a pre-production model, but the Panasonic rep who's here told me that this is basically exactly what we're going to be getting in the final production model, which will be coming out in just a couple of weeks. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some of the features, clear up some of the rumors that I've been hearing online and seeing in other videos, and also tell you who I think this lens is going to be mainly for. So first thing to talk about is the build quality. Obviously with any of the Leica branded Panasonic lenses, you're looking at a pretty dang good build quality. So here we have full metal construction except for the lens hood, which is plastic, and as well as the lens cap is also plastic. But everything else is metal and weather sealed, as you would expect from these Leica branded lenses from Panasonic. When it comes to the size of this lens, you can see that compared to the GH5, it's pretty darn big for a Micro Four Thirds lens. But as you are basically getting 5 primes in one, or that's what Panasonic is basically marketing this as, it's pretty good. And it is big, but it's not that heavy. It's definitely not as heavy as I expected. It feels good in the hand on the GH5. The GH5 and G9 both have really good ergonomics, and so I'm not too worried about like my hand getting tired with this lens on it, or a long day of shooting or anything like that. Another feature that a lot of videographers especially are excited about with this lens is this manual focus ring. So this is nothing really new because Olympus has been doing this with their Pro lineup for quite a while now, as many of you guys will know. But here it's finally been implemented in a Panasonic lens and it works beautifully. It's super smooth, and there's no hard stops though. There's kind of like a half hard stop. So when you go to the nearest focal distance, just past that, there'll be like a hard stop telling you it's at the end of the range, but then you can continue spinning the ring, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure why they did that. And then the same thing, you go to infinity and there's like kind of a partial stop, but then you can still kind of keep going past the range. But the ring feels really good. Like it gives you a really nice response, really nice click, and it's working really solid from my test so far. Another thing that a lot of filmmakers are excited about is the inclusion of the Aperture Ring. This isn't, again, anything new. Panasonic has this on quite a few of their prime lenses, but what's different about this Aperture Ring is that it has stepless control. So basically you can get smooth aperture changes throughout from 1.7 to f16, and then if you want to control it in camera, you just flick it back to the auto button, and then basically you can go and control the aperture as you regularly would with one of these dials on the right hand side of the camera. Now I have a couple of Voigtlander lenses, and one thing I like about those lenses is you can actually change between stepless and clicked aperture on the ring. This has no option to make the aperture increase in clicks, so it's just a smooth transition. But again, if you want to be able to just control the aperture by one step at a time, or even in between steps, then you can just switch it to the A and then use one of the dials on the right hand side. So while we're on the topic of focus, people obviously, one of the things that they don't really like about Panasonic lenses is that they have a fly-by-wire focus system. So this lens still does have fly-by-wire focus, but it is much easier to use now that I have these kind of like half hard stops included. And when I was testing the lens, I was actually able to get fairly repeatable focus, but it is fly-by-wire, so take that for what it's worth. Also though, on the topic of focus, is people are worried about focus breathing. I can tell you that there is next to none with this lens. You'll see here in this test footage that going from like the closest focal distance to infinity, there's like hardly any change in the field of view. So that's something that I'm really impressed about that they were able to do with this lens. So one compromise that Panasonic had to make with this lens is to not include stabilization. A lot of people are pretty upset by that, including myself. I would love to have stabilization in this lens, but when you're shooting at 10 or 12 on a GH5 or a G9, you can still get amazingly smooth shot just from the IBIS in the body, even though we're not dual IS2 compatible or dual IS1, any dual IS, you can still get really awesome shots just by being at the wide end of the range and putting it on one of these stabilized bodies. So a lot of people are saying that not having dual IS compatibility was going to be a deal breaker for them, but for me, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Like, I can go at 10, just kind of do the ninja walk, as many of you guys who do gimbal work will know, with one of these cameras, G9 or GH5 handheld, and I'm able to get really smooth shots, and dual IS just really isn't going to be an issue for me. When it comes to the performance of these lenses, I have been told by the Panasonic rep that this lens is sharper at 12mm than the 12mm f1.4 prime lens, and also sharper at 25 than the 25mm f1.4 prime lens as well. So I'm going to be doing a full review of this lens once I get my own copy of it. Since this is pre-production, I don't want to do these quality tests beforehand, but if he's being honest with me and that is true, then this in fact is a really impressive piece of equipment. So who do I think this lens is for? Who is going to shell out this much money for one lens? Well, for me personally, the reason that I'm going to be picking this lens up is pretty much because I am primarily getting into documentary filmmaking work, and it's important for me to have a range of focal lengths that I can count on and that have good quality in one lens. So for me, this lens, going from 10 to 25 or 20 to 50 on a 35mm sensor, is a great range. It gives me super wide on the wide end, not quite as wide as something that I'm used to shooting with, like the Olympus 7 to 14, but I think 10 is wide enough, and I can't really think of a situation where I'm going to need wider than 10. Other than like a really wide POV shot, in which case I'll probably just use a GoPro, to be completely honest with you guys. Then you have all the way to 25, which can be used in interview setups. You get some really nice bokeh in the background, and you can use that for detail shots. So for me, it's really the complete package. It gives an awesome length of focal ranges. So this paired with either like the 50 to 200 or the 35 to 100 would make a great team for any documentary filmmaker, in my opinion. Something else that you guys can think of when you are considering if you're going to buy this lens or not is, what else do you already have in your camera bag? For me, I've got like the Olympus 7 to 14, the Panasonic 12 to 35, and then a couple of prime lenses in this focal length range as well. And so basically what I'm going to do is lighten my kit, sell most of those lenses off to be able to afford this one. So I think the price is justified in a way, because we haven't seen this kind of lens before for the Micro Four Thirds system. Yes, the Sigma 18 to 35 is out there, but I think this is going to have some significant advantages over that lens. But as soon as I get my copy, I'm going to be doing a direct comparison between this lens and the Sigma 18 to 35 on the GH5, so that you guys can decide which route you want to take. So that's everything for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got some good information about this brand new lens that'll be coming out very, very shortly. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to try and answer them in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more reviews once I get my hands on my very own copy of this lens. Hopefully they're going to be shipping to New Zealand by the end of July, so it's going to be coming in the fairly near future. And that's it for today. We'll see you guys next time.